This is Ibukun Awosika, serial entrepreneur, founding director of Chair Center, director of many boards, including Digital Jewels, is our guest today. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us finding time out of your very busy schedule. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
We're going to be taking you up on a topic that is very dear to your heart.
Okay.
There are many business opportunities out there in Nigeria. Can you highlight a few for budding entrepreneurs, especially those with a technology affiliation?
Okay. Well, I think, there's no news to the fact that the technology world is the land of opportunity right now. And what even makes it far more interesting is that it's not technology for technology's sake. It's about being able to look at technological applications for traditional industries.
Right.
Looking at other ways of doing things, of speeding things up, and of opportunities that are relevant to every industry across the board. There's using technology for advertisement and for sales promotion in different ways, which every business can benefit from, big or small.
Yeah.
Which is also a game changer, because it can make a small business look like a big business and reach much larger markets than it traditionally will be able to. You're also talking about, like, in the entertainment sector.
Yes.
A lot of players in the entertainment sector that don't need capital assets, so to speak, before they can participate in a lot of stuff. Just small little technology equipments and stuff like that allows them to be able to create a lot of stuff that is relevant in that industry. You're also talking about a generation that lives on all sort of technological stuff. And so creating solutions that affect the lifestyle of that youthful generation, which Nigeria has an abundance of.
Yes.
Our demography says about 65% of our population is between the ages of 20 to 35. And it increases even more when you take 14 to 20.
Yes.
And you're talking about all of these age groups. In fact, go back as far as 10. From about age 10 to about 35 is a generation that lives in that world.
Yes.
And there's so many different things. And what's even more interesting about it is that it's not the services or the products you sell are not at high cost per unit, which means that your customer base is then massive, because you can go from the bottom of the pyramid all the way to the top. They have common indices. Based on, if you put in luxury details and all of that, you start to separate in terms of price. But generally, there's a lot that you can do. So, just in the technology area alone, it's unimaginable the things that can be done. And I meet a lot of young people with ideas that they're working from nowhere, so to speak. From their phone, from their iPad, from their laptop, in their bedroom, in their living room, anywhere. They don't need a defined space to be able to do what they do. We're definitely not the fraudsters of the world, even though we've been labeled
painted as such.
that. Yeah. So, but our people creating the solutions not to do that will sell, because we can then take advantage of what was meant to be a negative thing against us and turn it into an advantage and raking money from the rest of the world. So,
that's an interesting angle.
Well, I always try to find the positive
within the negatives.
Yeah,
so a myriad of opportunities. But what risks do these techpreneurs need to be mindful of?
Well, the thing is, the rules of business, the principles that makes a business successful or not, have not necessarily
the
changed.
same across the board. Yes.
The process of creating the product or the value proposition might be different, but the fundamentals of business, they haven't changed. So you're still talking about diligence, you're still talking about intelligence, you're still talking about integrity, you're still talking about durability, you're still talking about sustainability of the business, you're still talking about customer service. You're still talking about so many fundamental things in business. So we're saying, okay, it's a new generation, it's a new product. But the same principles that make businesses successful over generations are still applicable. So human resource will always still be critical. The type of human resource, the management of the human resource, your financial management will still be important. How you manage must still show me where the money is going to come from. Because the other part of it is, which is what resulted in the dot-com era. You know, people were selling stuff that didn't exist, so to speak. It's all right to have the ideas, but make sure the idea has a cash flow. It's sellable. It's going to get a return. Somewhere. I mean, you have some examples that people quickly refer to, okay, but Twitter was sold, they hadn't made, that one was sold, they hadn't made any money and all of that. Some of them will probably still make money, and some may never make money. And that's really what happened with the dot-com era. So those risks are still real, and they're still possible within this new era of tech entrepreneurs emerging. So wisdom will always be wisdom, and we have to go back to fundamentals. So as we celebrate and encourage and build businesses within the technology sphere, we must still be mindful of the fundamentals of business. I've met a lot of young people with brilliant ideas that work in terms of the technology, but they've been highly challenged in terms of business. Either is in raising fund to get the business to move to the next stage, or having the skills to sell, or even having the skills to raise the fund. You know, it's just a host of things. And that's why you would tend to see a lot of technology companies, the founders themselves don't necessarily
have to be the technologists.
They don't necessarily end up being the ones that run the business.
They might be the idea generators and give a business person
the opportunity takes over thereafter
to run the business.
Because the idea on its own cannot survive without real prudent business management to make the business generate cash. If it's not showing money, it's not going to survive.
Thank you. From your experience, and I know you're wary of, 3 business rules and 5 tips, but if you were going to single out 3 key reasons that distinguish a successful entrepreneurial business from an unsuccessful one, what will those 3 reasons, 3 factors be?
For me, one is responsiveness to change. Because in the business world, things change.
And I think especially in technology.
In technology business, more than
nothing stays
things
constant.
Change at such a rapid pace. You can't afford not to be responsive to it. Which automatically leads to flexibility. Because if you're responsive to change, you must be flexible enough to accept, to make quick decisions in terms of the changes going on around you. That's one. 2, be fair to all. And that means all people who work for you, people that you work for. On the long run, you would find it's in your interest and it keeps you for the longer term. When you want to build a business, you can't trade off your values. You can trade it off for the short term,
but it'll come back to bite you.
It will kill you, not just haunt you. It will kill you on the long run. And so, building anything and building to last more than anything else depends on what values you choose to build on. And no matter what anybody says to you, good values are good in all seasons. You might seem slower in the short run, but ultimately, you will be sustainable whilst a lot of people have come and gone. So for me, that's key. Also, being prudent about the resources of the business. So for businesses, the discipline of managing the resources that the business can generate is the difference between a business that has a chance to build and consolidate over time and the ones that consume rapidly. And at the end of the day, they don't have budget. It also makes the difference between your ability as a business to raise cash for future growth. And that makes a lot of difference.
So flexibility, we start with responsiveness, flexibility.
Responsiveness, yes.
Being value-driven, being prudent, being disciplined. I think those are the 5 key tips that you shared with us, which I think are... So we want some words of encouragement for the entrepreneurs out there that might be watching now and wondering, so where do I go from here? Lots of opportunities, lots of risks. Can be a tough business environment. How are you going to encourage them?
Well, what I'd like to say is this. First and foremost, there's risk in the market. There are challenges, but that's the fun part of it, frankly. If it was so easy, everybody would be there, and then there would be nothing to challenge you.
Right.
It's a fulfilling journey if you choose an area that you're passionate about.
Yes.
The whole process of taking on a situation and finding a solution to it, it's the adrenaline of the process.
Right.
And it's why it's important that you're sure that this is what you want to do. And if it's something you love to do, there will be enough within you
to take you through.
To take you through. And every hurdle that you get to is a likely hurdle for your competitor. And it's really about who can wait it through.
Right.
That wins the game. So if you know you're where you're called to and you're in the place that you love, find it within yourself to walk through it. And at the end of the day, when you look back, you will never regret it. And more than anything else is, we have a country right now with millions of young people that are unemployed. Imagine if we create 100 jobs, 100 new businesses a month that only employ 5 people. In reality, that's only 500 jobs.
Yeah.
And extrapolate that to a year, is 500 times 12. That's only 6,000 jobs. For the body count of young people that are out looking for work right now, that's 0. That shows you how many new businesses as a nation
we need.
And therefore, for anyone that has, and Nigeria has an abundance of entrepreneurial knowledge, anyone that has the capacity to create jobs or create a business right now and therefore create jobs.
Yes.
It's not just a national service that you're doing. You're solving problems that will affect you and your generations. Because the way I look at it is, no matter how comfortable you think you are, if the larger society is at risk, you're totally at risk.
Right.
So it is really enlightened self-interest. And at the end of the day, it gives one a satisfaction and joy when you think in some way you can create value. That, how many people do you employ at Digital Jewels?
About 35.
Okay. Now, do you really think it's just 35 people you're taking care of?
The families that are related to them.
35 people times their family that the salary from Digital Jewels takes care of, times the people that they pay to. They pay rent to somebody who uses that money to take care of somebody. They buy food from somebody and create an economic chain in that food chain. They buy clothes to wear, create an economic chain. So the extrapolated impact of what you do, it's not about 35 people. It's about an inductive effect that ripples in the entire economy. So at the end of the day, the entrepreneur is key. It's why you hope that the government is a lot more strategic in terms of how businesses are supported or how the generation of new businesses in the country is encouraged or incubated, so that at the end of the day, we have a global problem that is not a Nigerian problem. It's a major global situation, and at the end of the day, every country is going to have to solve its own problem. So, but we have a lot of people, 170 million people, and we're still breeding every day. So it's an opportunity or a curse. The whole world is projecting that by God knows how many years from now, about 10 or 20 years or 30 years, Nigeria will probably be the 3rd largest country in the world. Right now, I think we're number 5 or number 7.
Yeah.
The projections are we're going to be, after, it will be India, China, Nigeria. Now, it can be a curse or it can be a blessing.
Depends on how we address it.
It depends on how we play. If we're prepared for it and we can take advantage of our people, that's a massive market, but we have to be producing what we're selling to them and not allowing everybody else to produce to sell to them. Because that market becomes a market for the rest of the world as well.
Yes.
If we allow them to be the ones producing and selling to them, we are losing because we're working for the rest of the world.
Absolutely.
But if we're producing and selling to our own people and also selling to the rest of the world, then the value becomes ours. So it's a long-term planning that we must start executing now.
Yes.
And every person that has an entrepreneurial leaning or strength has to be mobilized to action right now. Apart from the fact that they will financially be rewarded beyond money, and money can only satisfy you in some areas. There is something about creating value that money cannot buy. And the satisfaction of seeing lives transformed by what you do or impacted by what you do.
Yes.
Nobody can pay you for that, or you can't pay to get that. You can only create it through the things that you do. And that for me is the challenge to every young person that knows they have the capacity to create value, to just rise up to the occasion. And let's show the rest of the world what is truly great about our country.
If that doesn't encourage you, I don't know what else will. Thank you so much, Ms. Awosika. That's been great.